Today is December, not October. Why did
It's
I write
insane.
that? Today's December, December
December.
1st, 2020.
Unreal.
Um,
Hi.
I'm
Welcome.
going to go through the list right now. We got a lot of
Do it.
stuff I want to cram into a half hour, and I just
Yeah,
want to,
it's a lot.
before we do continue, Michelle, are you here? Because I see you're connected, but are you?
She's muted, I think,
She's
or
muted.
she has.
Okay.
Well, she was having that issue with her headphones earlier this week too, so I
Oh,
don't know if that
okay.
got
Yeah.
resolved.
Audio and video issues continue to be a struggle for everyone. And my recommendation, which I never follow, but I recommend it, is you got to set your system up and never change it, right? I mean, Chad, you know this. And you can see I mentioned I had something working and now it's not working. That's because I've changed several things between the last time I had it working and today. And, this
Find a
stuff.
way to work that it works, and then do whatever you can to not mess with it a whole lot if you
Yeah.
can.
Yeah.
It's true.
I mean, even when we were in the office, I know those that did it really well. They had a dedicated room with a dedicated system that was locked down. It didn't change. You could rely on going into that room, and it would work the same way it worked last time.
Hmm.
There are also places that had the same room, but people kept changing things, and those rooms never worked. So,
Hmm.
yeah, don't find something that works. Try not to change it. I know
If you
that's hard
can.
to do because things are constantly changing. I just had an update. In fact, one of the reasons I just got started at like 12 o'clock, and probably one of the reasons why I'm seeing some artifacts here, is I just applied an update, which I shouldn't have done right before I
There's
started the
Michelle.
meeting. Like, oh, this is okay. Yeah, I got time. I'll do that. Hello, Michelle.
Yeah, there's
Anyway,
never enough time. I schedule meetings intentionally at 5 after the hour because I know if I'm not going to need that time, somebody's going to need that time, to refine
yeah.
their, or sort things out. It's just, that's the way it is
Okay, so I'm
these
going to
days.
open up a web browser and let me get my other link going here. Here we go. Okay, I'm going to share my screen.
Cool. I guess I
Let
can
me
take
do
my
this.
mask off. I'm not going to be around anyone that's, it's kind of the habit now. It's almost like if I'm putting a shirt
Just
on, I'm putting a mask on. We're trying to, transmit that to the kids, even to say, hey, when you
yeah.
leave, go out to play football or whatever, throw the ball in the yard, just have one in your back pocket. But man, we've been doing this for months, and I still don't have it down right.
So Chad,
How
can you
about,
see my screen here?
I can, yeah. Can you see it,
Okay, so
Michelle?
I just want to yeah. This is the big news here today for us. This is day one of our merger with Intiva. And I tried hard to contact all of our clients. I got through. I got through the entire list. Um, but if I did miss anyone, I do apologize. I've been spending a lot of time on the phone. I've been spending time emailing and just trying to make sure the clients hear it first from me, which is that our team, Forget Computers, is now part of a much larger organization called Entiva. And if you go to the website here, ntiva.com, and I will get this press release out to every one of our clients. We're working on that today. But I just want to reiterate, this happened. This has been in the works for about a year and a half. A friend of mine in the business contacted me a little over a year and a half ago and said, my organization, Intiva, is looking to either, first of all, we see the value in the Apple space, and we see the value of supporting, doing either a better job of supporting the Apple space and going all into the Apple space, meaning supporting Windows and Apple. And we're going to either build a team or we want to acquire a team. And in their research, they thought of us. So I'm honored that we were on the short list and that they chose us. But I'm also, this was not a decision that was taken lightly. There was a lot of due diligence done here to ensure that this is a good fit and a good merger for everyone. That means us, the team at Forget Computers. That means you, clients of Forget Computers and of course Intiva. So everybody is really excited about this, and you'll be hearing more about it today. Nothing changes. Continue to call us. I'm still here. I'm not leaving. Chad, Michelle, and the rest of the team are still here. No one's given me notice today, so as far as I know, everyone here is continuing, and we're super excited. So you'll learn more as we have more to share. But right now, nothing's changing. So that was one of the things I wanted to make sure everyone knew about. Second on the list, which I think is super important, is Chad, you posted your yearly Merry Riskmas. Do you see that on my screen now? Just to
I
confirm.
did, yeah. That's
Okay.
right.
So Chad, maybe you can talk just a bit about this, and of course we can share the link
Yeah,
so
sure.
everyone can find this.
Well, every year, year over year, we have seen upwards of an 8 to 900% increase in criminal activity right before the holidays. And I run some honeypots and some other things that kind of help me sift through all the noise out there in the media to see if some of these forecasts and things are actually on point. And generally they are, right? You can believe most of that kind of stuff, because if we were criminals and the holidays are approaching, we only have a short window of time to catch fish, as it were. Right. So all of those criminal
Right.
folks are very busy in, the September weeks in September, October, leading up to the holidays, to cast as wide a net as possible. And so every year we publish this list of, it's worth checking twice, list of do's, things that can help all of us, minimize our risk to nasty stuff during the holidays. And, wear a mask. That's the only thing missing from that list, but everything else is pretty much on there, right?
Right. It's not a COVID stuff, though. I know we
No.
mentioned COVID is definitely affecting the way criminals are operating today. But yeah, I
Yeah.
would recommend everyone review this list, share it with your team. In fact, Michelle, we should probably maybe by the end of the week or early next week change our Zendesk signature to point to this for several days. And that leads me to the general year end I want to talk about briefly before we get follow up on the Apple stuff. Let me get my notes here. So the year end, we've only got we've got just a little less than 4 weeks left in the year. Is that right? I think we do. We got 4 weeks left, and then we've got Christmas and New Year's, which is always eating into the time we have to implement projects. So I want to just mention to everyone that if you do plan on executing on any projects at the year end in this month, please contact us as soon as possible, because we don't have a lot of days left in the year. And what tends to happen is a lot of people put things off until the end, and then we just get really swamped with requests. And we don't rush things through. We want to do our due diligence in executing properly. And I want to also remind everyone that some people, if they have money left in the budget, they'll want to buy equipment. And we want to make sure you get the right equipment and the correct equipment. And we'll talk about what Apple's offering today in a minute. But also, Apple will invoice you only when the computer ships. And this is something that I often hear. I hear people say, well, I'm going to order it. Maybe it's the last week of the month. And so I can get it on the bills get it on the books before the end of the year. Well, just FYI, no matter how you do your books, Apple's not going to invoice you until they actually ship that computer. And sometimes it can be a delay in the shipment, and it can take up to a week for Apple to ship. It depends. It depends on the model. It depends on the time of year. It depends on what's going on in the world. And I have no way to know what the shipping times will be like, but we've seen issues where people wanted Apple to invoice them when they place the order button. That is not how Apple does it. You will not get Apple to change. They will invoice you when they ship the product. You'll get invoiced almost immediately for Apple Care, but not for the product until it ships. And also, we are already booked for projects between Christmas and New Year's. So that's already off the table because we're booked solid for that week of doing projects. So if you have a project you want to execute on, or you just want to talk about a potential project, please let us know. We can either talk about it and whether we can get it done whether it's a good idea to get it done this year or if we need to put it on the calendar for early next year. So speaking of what Apple has to offer, and not the Riskmas, I want to talk about the M1 chip. So, we talked about this last time. Apple has new products. Most of these are entry-level machines. Most of our clients will not need or want an M1 chip today. In fact, I would avoid them. But this is a good, unless it's for testing purposes, unless you just want to get one to play around with. But this is a great website that's keeping track of all the applications that are ready for Apple Silicon or not. And let me just go full screen here because you don't need to see my face. So this, I'll share this website. It is applesiliconready.com. And just as an example, if Microsoft is a big one. So if we go to Microsoft, the one I'm most concerned about, Office 365, I was actually surprised to see that it is optimized for Silicon, at least as of November 16th. So the 16.44 update, oh, it's a beta. Okay. I was going to say, I thought I read that they weren't quite there yet. So there is a beta release of Microsoft Office 365 that will run natively. Now, when I say natively, what I'm talking about is if you see something like Microsoft Teams, that's a good example. That's one that we all use internally, and I know a lot of our clients use it. It currently, if you were running on an M1 computer, an M1 chip, you would be running Microsoft Teams and what's called emulation. And Apple's emulation is called Rosetta 2. It's called Rosetta 2 because Rosetta, the original Rosetta, was used when they moved from PowerPC to Intel chips. And now that they're moving from Intel to an M1 chip, they brought Rosetta back with improvements. And I don't know if, Chad, do you remember the days when using Rosetta?
I do. Yeah, I remember it. It was bittersweet. There were things about it that were really cool, and there were just like Rosetta 2 will have some issues. The memory is the biggest one. The new architecture only supports 16 gigs. It's a cumulative. It's a memory that's total. That's for video and everything else. And so that's why Ben mentioned that these are entry level machines. These aren't for high end production. A lot of our clients work and those much more niche sort of specialties, and it's important to keep that in mind.
And that's a very good point because Apple touted how powerful and battery efficient the M1 chip really is.
And they are,
but at
a cost.
But only when the application is optimized. So you're not going to see any battery benefits or any speed improvements running Microsoft Teams in Rosetta. And in fact, if we go to the other big one, which is Adobe, we can see Adobe doesn't have anything other than a Rosetta. No, they have an M1 beta in Photoshop. That's the only thing we're seeing right now. So another good reason why most of our clients want to avoid an M1 chip. So let's talk about the other thing that we're also concerned about today, and that is Big Sur. Because if you buy a new machine today, there's a 99% chance it's going to ship with Big Sur. And I say there's still a chance it won't, because if you buy from maybe CDW or somebody who's had products sitting on the shelf for the last few months that they haven't sold, you might get a machine that does not have Big Sur. But Apple's really aggressive when you buy from Apple. They're really aggressive about making sure the latest operating system is on their devices. So you will most likely see Big Sur if you buy an Apple computer from Apple, no matter what it is. Avoid the M1 chip. Talk to us. We'll help you find what's right for you. But let me go to, I got a Big Sur page here. So actually, this is just a Google search because there's no one like definitive page. But if you search Big Sur issues, you will see, as recently as one day ago, if you're using Google Drive and Big Sur, you might be having problems. How to fix the most common issues 2 weeks ago. Should I upgrade to Mac OS Big Sur? We've said this before, but I can't iterate enough that, or reiterate enough that I would avoid Big Sur until all the bugs have been worked out. I guarantee you there are still bugs. So
Yeah.
once again, unless you have a spare computer, don't upgrade to Big Sur.
Or if you have a reason, I mean, that's the piece that's I keep reminding myself is if I have a
Right.
reason to upgrade. But right now, I mean, even my brother-in-law, he's a musician in New York City, and he upgraded last weekend, and I ended up spending several hours on the phone with him because it borked everything. And in an audio
Hmm.
environment like that, where you're recording, you got multiple inputs and things like that. Everyone has to think about their productivity. Think about your productivity before you upgrade, because it pretty much he spent his entire weekend rolling back so that he could get back to work, and he didn't have a reason.
Right.
And it's not unusual. It's not your fault for doing it. We usually can trust these kinds of updates, but the nature of this one is so different and so new. You will read, there are articles out there that say running some of these apps in emulation and Rosetta 2 still outperforms the Intel chip Max. And that's probably true for some things.
Hmm.
But generally, I don't know that that's a healthy, perspective to have it just yet.
Yeah, it's so hard because it is always appealing,
It is.
Apple says there's an upgrade. In fact, Apple, we talked about this last time. They almost kind of trick you into upgrading because
Yeah.
the updates versus upgrades are in the same interface,
Hmm.
and if you're trying to apply an update, it's very easy to actually click upgrade. So we do
Yeah.
everything we can to prohibit a Big Sur running on a computer, meaning the installation of Big Sur. And we ask that if you do have a business use case for Big Sur, that you just talk
Run
to
it by
us so
us. Yeah.
we can help you
Run it by us.
verify it, and then we can lift that block, and then your computer or your entire team, if you want to, can run Big Sur.
It's
I would just be very
counterintuitive.
careful.
Yeah, be careful. It's counterintuitive, right? Because we've been working so hard for so long to encourage everyone to update regularly,
Yeah,
and this goes
yeah,
completely against the typical current of the river we're trying to
right.
maintain, and so it is a bit of an unusual situation for sure.
Yeah. Well, let's see. We just covered a lot in 18 minutes. So
Yeah.
I don't know if we have any questions or any feedback or anything that you all would like to see in our live streams. We were doing live streams every week. We recently scaled it back to every other week, and we got sidetracked because Apple's event was the same week as our live stream. So. But we're going to stick to the every other week schedule from now on, which means in 2 weeks we'll be back, and I think that will be the last one before the holiday. So we'll probably get derailed because of the holiday. I don't know if we'll have one that week or not, and then we'll all be happy to see 2021. Hopefully, it'll be a lot more positive than 2020. I say that with a smile and a laugh because I don't know how else to present it, but. How's
Not
everyone
easy.
doing?
Yeah,
How are you doing, Michelle?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Let's see. I think I covered everything. And Chad, we actually did an amazing job today of covering everything
Mhm.
within a half hour. Normally, we
Mhm.
ramble on for nearly an hour.
And I don't think we
Um,
melted anyone's face off. We didn't really get into anything that was overly complex. There is a value to that too.
yeah, we covered the Intiva merger. We're excited
Mhm.
about that. We covered the Merry Riskmas article. Be careful out there. We'll be sure to share that with everyone
Trust,
in the.
trust, but verify everything.
Mhm.
Someone calls you on the phone, knocks on your door. Oh, the first thing we need to think is, how can we verify this is what it appears to be? So that's okay.
Yeah, avoid the M1 chips and Big Sur if you can. There will be a time where you have to run Big Sur, especially if you buy a new computer. We don't recommend downgrading. There's some devices you cannot even downgrade anymore. That's kind of the old, old way of doing things, having the ability to downgrade. Basically, just talk to us if you have any plans for the end of the year. Oh, in fact, I do. We do have. Let me share my screen. Our support menu screen. Go back here and hide myself. And if we go to support.forgetcomputers.com, no, that's not it. That's defaulting to our tickets. I want the guide. That will not happen to anyone other than me. So let's see. If we go to, I'll just search for Riskmas. Here, Risk. Just type Risk. There it is. Merry Riskmas. That's the new one. Actually, it looks like our old one's still there too, Chad.
The old one is still there, yeah, and they haven't.
Guess we could keep it up. I think we got 3 of them. Got 3 of them up there.
Every year.
They're probably all still relevant, but check the date if you're looking for the most recent one. That's this one. And then what I wanted to show you was holiday hours. And I'll just search for holiday. And here it is, year-end 2020 holiday schedule. So we've already made it through Thanksgiving and the day after, which we close the office, and then of course we'll be closed for Christmas and New Year's, and we are going to try our best to close early at 1:00 on New Year's Eve and Christmas Eve. So I just wanted everyone to know that. And then I also wanted to mention we do have here, it's a little hard to see on my page because I already clicked it, the colors blend in, but we have a technology plan form that if you just kind of want to, you're not sure what you need, but maybe you want to get some projects started or brainstorm about some projects, you can fill out this form. It asks you a few questions just to kind of get you thinking. And then we'll follow up with a phone call and a meeting, and we can discuss the details, especially the timing and what's realistic as far as implementing it. Typically a lot of this stuff, of course, it can be implemented in a short period of time, but you need time to communicate it with your team. And what we've learned over the years is that's a big piece that's often missing.
Yep.
So we don't want to skip that part. We want to communicate it with your team. And if your team if the year end is hectic for your team, then maybe it's not the best time to throw change and additional project at them, as much as I want to help everyone get to the next level. So certainly let's have that discussion. But this is a great form that we've used over the years, and we just updated it recently simply with the years. So it's a good place to start. But if you don't want to fill out the form, you can just open up a support request or give us a call. So I think that's everything I wanted to address, other than the fact that I still haven't posted the last recording, the last live stream, and that's my fault. And that's because there was a lot of activity going into the lead up to this merger, and I was super busy, but I'm going to get that posted soon. And for those who were asking last week about the software we're using or experimenting with and playing around with, it's called which you can see why I didn't really want to say what it's called, because you can't even pronounce it. It's a silly name, but it's spelled MMHMM. So if we go back to our website, and let me once again make myself small here. Here you can only see my eyes. It's a better look. mmhmm.app. This is the app that I've been experimenting with, and
it's
got some great features.
Is an official word now, isn't it?
Funner, maybe.
Yeah, I think they made that a word. I'll have to look that up.
I'm just gonna step outside here and enjoy the snow as we sign off. And
be nice to have some snow. I know that's not everybody's favorite around here, but
you like the snow? There was some. We had a light dusting earlier, but it was very, very like salt shaker dusting. Okay, thank you, Chad. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, everyone who joined us today. And if you do have questions that crop up later,
We love
please
them.
send them to our support desk, and we'll get them answered.
Yeah, thanks
Thank you
for
very
listening.
much. Have a great day. Bye.